Hello, this is coming to you from after I've edited the video you're about to watch. So it's a bit rough as I've just started using editing software, so just learning the ropes on that, and so sorry that it's a bit choppy in some places, and I hope you are able to get through it and hear the message in it, and the heart of it. So make it to the end. Well done, you're amazing. Thank you for watching. Hopefully I'll get better at this whole editing process and make better quality videos. So yeah, thanks. Hello from the beanbag, and welcome back to another daily encouragement with Naomi, where we are going to explore what real godly inner beauty is all about. And today I felt God saying that I need to share my story with you guys, and I've shared a little bits and pieces here and there, but I think He wants me to share more and share kind of just the whole journey. This is something that I really was like, no God, I don't want to do that, because essentially it makes me really vulnerable and puts it all out there. So let's do this. Right, let's start at the start. So I was born in Invercargill to a family of two parents. I'm married. I have an older brother and a younger sister, so I am a middle child, which growing up had its challenges. I struggled a lot as a child. There was lots of stuff going on in my life as a child. I'm not going to go into the specific details, but in my home life things were pretty tough, and there was a lot of trauma. I didn't have great relationships even growing up as a small child with either of my parents, so that made things quite difficult. And then there was really tough stuff outside the home. All my schooling, I was bullied every day, and not only by students but by teachers and stuff, because I was often, as a small child, like early primary school years, was late for school, because in the mornings I'd have to get myself up and ready for school, so I was often late, and so got picked on and stuff by the teachers, and that kind of carried on right throughout life. I remember one day, I still have no idea why, but I remember one of my teachers punching me, and I'm like, oh, that's a bit odd. So yeah, life was pretty crazy, as well as the bullying that I faced every day. I was also sexually abused as a child, so that was pretty traumatic. I grew up with not a lot of friends, because I was bullied by everyone. I think if I do look back on my life and my childhood, I can kind of look and see patches where there were friends. I don't have great memories of my childhood because of the trauma that happened, so yeah, things are patchy, but I'm pretty sure there were friends and stuff in there, because I do remember one day having a friend over from school. We were out walking with my dolls, because they were my thing. They were my, they were very precious and special to me. And I remember I was pushing the pram, and she went to pick up my doll, and I was like, go home. Do not touch that. Go home. So yeah, there were friends, and I remember having sleepovers and stuff with a friend, and going to friends' houses and all that kind of stuff. So there were some friends, didn't have a lot, so it was quite a lonely child, and I'm the outer child, because I was a wee bit different. And at the age of 8 I got acne, and really severe acne, and so that was kind of, from that point on, that was why I was bullied and stuff for the rest of my schooling. because, I was different in that way. Kids can be quite cruel, so they thought that was fun to do, is pick on the kid with acne. So that was really tough for me, because I remember my parents doing all that they could to kind of understand why. So I did not go through puberty at 8. I just got acne at 8. They took me to specialists, took me to doctor's visits, all sorts of stuff to try and understand why their 8-year-old child had acne. The doctors kind of, I think, put it down to a hormonal thing in the end, but could never really explain why. So it was quite horrendous growing up in that, because there are days where I still look in the mirror, and believe me, my skin compared to what it was for so many years of my life is incredibly good and incredibly clear. But there are days where I look in the mirror and go, oh, look, your face is full of zits and stuff like that, when in reality it's often not. Like, I still get a bit of adult acne, but it's nothing compared to what it was growing up as a child and then as a teenager. So that was hard, being that kid that at 8 years old has acne. And then I think around about the same age, I do believe, but I think between the ages of 8 and 10 is when I was sexually abused. So that was also, as a young child, dealing with that. And, I never told anybody about it until my late teens, early adulthood. So, I carried that by myself for a long time. As I said, never had a great relationship with my parents, and I think essentially did change a lot around the time of the abuse. It wasn't family members, it was nobody within my family that abused me, but I think that just kind of changed me, changed who I was, and changed any, I think, sort of relationship I had with my parents. I was quite an independent child growing up because my siblings required more attention than I did. So I learnt right from a very early age to do things myself, to be independent and to rely on myself rather than rely on my parents. I don't say all this to sit here and say, oh, my parents did a terrible job, they suck, rah rah. No, it's not that. It's to paint a picture of what I've walked through and what I carried and walked through as an adult, and so having to kind of dismantle those structures and scaffolding that I've built up in my life because of, I guess, the trauma and the situation that I grew up in. I remember in year 8, that was pretty much the worst year of my life as far as bullying goes, because back then I went to a separate intermediate school. In year 8 I started a new intermediate because we had gone to a Christian school for a year before that, so I was the new kid. I had a lot more acne than most of the other kids, and in fact probably actually in year 8 not a lot of kids had it at all. So again was picked on and really, really isolated. I remember at lunchtime sitting outside the classroom, by myself reading my book, because nobody wanted to hang out with the kid with stuff all over her face. So it was a hard year. Eventually I did make friends, and actually quite a good group of friends who then I went to high school with. So I still got picked on and stuff at high school, but I had a group of friends. I actually enjoyed the social aspect of high school. Pretty much went to eat my lunch. So I didn't do well academically at school at all, and even probably less at high school. I think that's why I really enjoyed the social side of high school, because I had to be there. But having a group of friends, having people to hang out with, I think made it bearable. I only did 3 years of high school. I left in year 11. Back then, school cert was the qualification you'd get. I think I got 1 or 2. It was either in home economics or cooking. Home economics or sewing was what I got my only school cert pass in. So I really did not do well, and there was nothing kind of at school that I was interested in and wanted to do, because at that stage I just wanted to be a youth worker. I just wanted to work with young people, and particularly year 7 and 8 young people, because I think that had kind of been my, as I said, the worst years of my life, and I didn't want any other young person to go through what I had gone through. So I was like, staying at school, there's nothing here. So I left some volunteer stuff for my first year out of school for the Māori division of Youth for Christ, which I don't even know if Youth for Christ exists anymore. All my friends were still at school, they stayed, and I would often go and pick them up during the day and take them out of school, so they would wag and we'd hang out. Just kind of looking at the bullying and stuff. It was really interesting. That one thing, because most days, particularly in primary school, don't know about high school, particularly in primary school, most days I'd go home crying. Unfortunately, my dad's response to that was, sticks and stones will hurt your bones, but words will never break you. I think that's how it goes. Which is an absolute lie from the pit of hell, because those words, they hurt. The words that the kids were saying every day hurt, which caused me to grow up with extreme low self-esteem. For many, many, many years, I did not like myself. I did not think I was good enough. I did not think I'd amount to anything. I did not think I'd be anybody or anything, and I certainly did not think God would ever use me. I did not believe He would use me. I would look at other people and look and see what He was doing in other people's lives and go, yeah, God can use them, God can do that in them, He can heal them, He can set them free, He can do all that stuff, but He can't do it for me, because I really believed the lie that I was a nothing and a nobody, and that I would never amount to anything, and that God really wasn't that interested in me. I think I even believed for a long time that maybe He loved me because He had to, but He didn't really like me. Okay, I don't think I believe that He liked me at all, but it's amazing what He's done in my life, because I now know 100% that He loves me, and He actually likes me too, because He created me, and He's not going to create somebody that He doesn't like or love. So I grew up really believing that, all that stuff, that just the absolute lies of the enemy, that I wasn't good enough, that I wasn't going to amount to anything, that I could never hold down what the world looks at and sees as a real job. Yes, I had a passion and a heart for youth work, but when it came to getting a job, kind of as a young person out of school, a lot of people will go and potentially go and get a job, supermarket or something like that. I believe that I could never do a job like that, because I wasn't good enough, I wasn't brainy enough, I wasn't anything like that. I think at times even struggled with going into the workforce. I've been on form of a benefit for most of my adult life. In the early days, I was on a job seeker benefit, and that was simply, a lot of that was because I believed that I couldn't actually get a job. Even though in my first year out of school, I did have a nannying job, and then right throughout my career, I was either a nanny, preschool teacher, reliever, and a preferred one at that. I would get jobs at interviews a lot of the time, and this is somebody who lived in the belief that she wasn't good enough and she would never amount to anything, she would never be anybody. I would walk into an interview and they would give me the job on the spot. There have been times where I've walked into interviewed, and they've had other people to interview, but they haven't interviewed them because they've given me the job. We're talking, even in the last 10 years, I still didn't have a huge amount of confidence that I could walk into an interview and actually get a job, because I was like, oh no, it's just kind of a formality. I'll interview for the job, but they'll employ someone else. But then a lot of the times I got the job at the interview, and or I'd get jobs through other people recommending me to other people that needed a nanny, because in their opinion I was a really good nanny, and so they'd pass my name on to other people and I'd get jobs that way. I just still sit and go, oh my goodness, I cannot believe it. And just looking back and seeing the fingerprints of God all over my life in every situation, and knowing that yes, for many years I did struggle and relied on a benefit because I did not think I was good enough, but God just constantly was in there going, you can do here, look what you've done here. Person who didn't know you from bar of soap gave you a job at the interview because they liked what they saw in who you are and where you've come from and what you've done. And it's been just really amazing just watching God do those little things in my life. And I sit now and go, oh, it's not a coincidence, it's not a mistake, nothing like that. It is God's hand on my life. So early career, did a bit of nannying for a few different families. It was really fun, like right from tiny babies to school age kids. It was fun because I love babies and I love kids, and just to be able to be invited into someone's house to look after their children and have that privilege and honour to look after someone's precious children is just such an honour. And I have looked after so many different family sizes. I did a couple of families that had 5 kids, so big, large families, and then looked after families that have got 1 child, and so it's like huge range. Just so fun. I can never remember because I've got a terrible memory. I think 2001, year of the Twin Towers collapse. I think that was in 2001. I think that's how I kind of work it out. So that year, I was working full-time as a nanny for a family of 5 children. That is the year that I broke my nose, and as a result of that, have had head pain. And so that kind of changed my career path. Well, not change it, because I always wanted to work with kids and be a nanny and that kind of stuff. Well, originally, actually, I wanted to get married and have kids, and that's all I thought God had for me. And I know that's not nothing. I know that's a huge thing and a huge privilege to get married and raise children. That's what I thought was the plan for my life. But God had other ideas. I spent a lot of years in my early career working only part-time, as I've been in constant pain, throws up lots of challenges, meaning that I was unable to work full-time. But God has always looked after me with both work and the support of the benefit. Eventually, some would say that's not living in God's best, but for me, that was how God helped me do what I have done in my career so far. Alongside looking after children, I was always involved voluntarily as a youth leader, both as a church youth leader. I've done Girls Brigade, Icons, just part of Boys Brigade, and a little bit I was a paid youth worker for 24/7 youth work at Lincoln High School. In a lot of ways, I have been able to do what I'm passionate about. Hang out with kids and young people. My sister, there'd be times where I'd hang out with her and she'd go, oh, you bring my kids to them. I'm like, I know, it's great, isn't it? I think perfect excuse to stay young and not be too serious about myself and about life. Because kids and young people certainly keep you young and keep you in that kind of fun childlikeness. In my 40s, often don't behave like that. I mean, when I need to, I am mature. Otherwise, I'm like, life is fun. Life is fun, and I have to say that's one thing that, in spite of the trauma, in spite of the tough stuff that has gone on in my life, I am actually quite a fun person, and that is absolutely the work of God, because life wasn't fun for many years, but somehow I managed, in all the craziness and all the pain and hurt and everything like that, I managed to have fun and to just be joyful. You know, people will often refer to me as full of energy, joy, happiness, because at the end of the day, I could have become a very outwardly cynical and critical person. There are times where I am, but the way God has created me is that I find the joy in life. I struggle a little bit more to find it when life is rough and hard and dark season. But there are still many moments of joy and laughter and fun. I think that potentially has come from working with children, because they have so fun. They're so just such happy little people pretty much most of the time. And I'm like, man, it's just so fun getting paid to play. It's so great. It's just fantastic. And I love it. And I just, am so thankful to God for the privilege and the honour of being invited into people's home to, as I say, look after their precious gifts that are their children. I love it, and I have to say that I was kind of shocked and surprised in the last year when I left my previous job, and I thought, go and get another job as a nanny, and God went, let's start a YouTube channel. And I went, what? Because I've always worked with kids and looked after kids, and I was like, I couldn't imagine any other career or doing anything else, because I just love it so much. Who knows, maybe one day I'll get to walk in that again. I had a prophecy years ago that I'd always be involved in young people's lives. I hold on to that prophecy because I've seen it just over and over and over again. I'll go and try and do something else or whatever. God's like, oh, here we go, back here. God has just been so evident and so integral in my life growing up. His fingerprints have just constantly been all over it. And as his fingerprints have been constantly all over my life, the enemy has been trying to go like, right, let's take you out. I don't know if I did, but as a child, several times I nearly drowned. Thank goodness there was always people there to save me. But I nearly drowned. As a small child from, I think the age of 6 months old to a year after my 6 month immunisation, I was incredibly sick. I nearly died. So from then, and even going back further, the enemy has tried to take me out. He has tried to physically take me out, but also mentally, and unfortunately, a lot of the time, he won in that department because, I believed the lies. I believed that I wasn't good enough, that God didn't like me. Even though, I had given my heart to God, I had some sort of relationship with God, which sit and think about and go, that's really odd, because, I had this relationship with God, who is creator of the universe, who is creator of me, who is king of everything, and is also king of me. I knew who he was and what he had done for me. But on the other hand, I was like, oh no. And maybe in some ways it was my ticket to eternity, but then I don't think it was. I think, I genuinely wanted a relationship with God because I knew that he was able to help me in life and help me walk through trauma and the hard time. Because I'm pretty sure that I first gave my life to God when I was 3 years old. I also remember, I'm going to make me cry because this is such a precious memory. I remember my mum sitting, me and my brother and sister, down on the floor in the lounge and teaching us how to speak in tongues. I look back over my early years and go, I'm pretty sure the reason that I've hung in there and still have a faith in God today and a relationship with Jesus is because of the seeds my mum sowed in my life. At the time, it was kind of difficult because a lot of that involved us being involved in holiday programs and all that kind of stuff, and she was constantly doing stuff with other people's kids and that kind of stuff, so that was quite hard for me as a child growing up. But if she hadn't exposed us to that stuff, the Sunday school songs that I still think about and sing today because there's such truth in them, and allowing us to be involved in holiday programs and after school clubs and all that kind of stuff that kind of was quite big in the 80s in Christian circles. It was fun. As a child, it was fun. And I think maybe that foundation that was sown in there was that it's fun. Jesus is fun. God is fun. Even though I had this kind of strange relationship with God most of my life, at the end of the day, I knew He was fun. And I knew He created fun. He created me to be fun and joyous and to carry that and to infect others with it. He is a fun God. He created fun. He created laughter. He created all that is good and right and perfect because He is a perfect God. I'm so thankful for that foundation in my early years, because also I think that helped me as a young child potentially cope with bullying and the abuse and the hard stuff that was going on. And I look at my life and I go, it's to be God that I don't live through a lens of life is terrible, life sucks, life's so hard. And yes, at times it is, because life is not fair. But when we look at life through the lens of God's kingdom, which is a spiritual kingdom, then we're not focusing on what's down here. We're focusing on what's up here, and our eyes are fixed on Jesus. Life is just a great adventure, an absolute great adventure. There is no better way to live than with Jesus. He is the best. And for somebody like me to be able to sit here and say this, it blows my mind. It blows my mind that out of the darkness of what I've walked through, God is my light, my hope is my salvation. Honestly, I would not be here today if I didn't have a relationship with God and if His fingerprints weren't all over my life. It is only by the grace of God that I sit here today and am able to record this video. No other way that I am here. Simply grace and the love and the mercy of God. Because yes, I walked through horrific trauma, but also I'm no saint. I've done some stuff that doesn't warrant me breath, but there is a God in heaven who sent His one and only Son to the cross to die for that stuff that I did, so that I can have forgiveness, and so that then I can forgive those who have hurt me, who have caused me trauma, who have offended me, upset me, all that kind of stuff. I can forgive. And for me, forgiveness has been a really hard journey. I think because of the mere fact that there's kind of trauma stacked on top of trauma on top of trauma, and you kind of get to a stage when there's so much trauma there that I think I eventually got to a stage in life where I was like, right, that's it. Nobody's going to hurt me ever again. And so you build a wall to keep people out so that you are safe from being hurt and rejected and all those things. Because there's huge rejection in my life. I lived through it every day at school. Nobody wanted to be my friend or to have my back or anything like that. Yep, huge rejection. But knowing that there is a God who went through what we went through, what I went through when He came to earth. He was rejected. He was abused. Sexually, I don't believe, but in other ways, He suffered trauma. He suffered accusations and that weren't true, and people trying to stop Him and take Him out and all that kind of stuff. He knew it all. I remember around the time of roughly, I think, of the abuse, I remember creating in my head my own world where life was perfect, life was safe, and I would often go into that world like daydreaming during the day, and I think essentially at night. I remember back then, but I know when I got older, definitely at night, would go into my only world where things were safe, and where my perfect world was that I was married with children and everything was perfect. And I remember kind of when that first started, around between the ages of 8 and 10, I remember going to my mum and talking to mum about it, and I remember her giving me Isaiah 53, where it talks about, He was wounded for our transgressions, He was bruised for our iniquities, and by His stripes we're healed. It goes through that He suffered in the same way we suffer when He came to earth as human. Honestly, that scripture, Isaiah 53, was my anchor for most of my life. It's probably one of my life verses that I haven't anchored into for a long, long time, because I think in a lot of ways as I grew up. In some ways life got better, still a lot of crazy stuff that has happened as an adult, so in a sense it got better, but then in a sense it still was crazy and huge and trauma and all that kind of stuff. But so I didn't potentially anchor into it as much as what I should have, and I've just started actually picked it up again recently in the last few days, and I'm anchoring into it because in that scripture it says by his stripes we're healed, and that is our authority in him. That is what we walk in, and that is what I am claiming and believing, particularly for my head pain, believing and claiming that I am healed, I am whole, I'm redeemed, I'm set free through Jesus because of what he did on the cross for me. He has just held me in his arms right throughout my life. He just tucks me in under his great big loving arms and just hides me in there. And he's kept me safe and shielded me from so much stuff that I could have walked through, that I could have got involved in, but I didn't, because God's had his hand on my life forever. Right from, in fact, before day one, right from before the foundation of this world, God has had his hand on my life, and he's mapped out my whole entire life. He knows it, and he knows what's going to happen, and he has good plans for my life. He is just constantly working in my life, all the time, every moment. He has just got his hand, and he's never lifted it off my life, because he said, I will never leave you nor forsake you. He is an amazingly good God, good Father who I am loved by. So hold on to hope, because God is always there. He delights in you. You are the apple of his eye. Radio. Thanks for watching and listening to my testimony. I just hope and pray it encourages you that in God there are no lost causes. You are never too far away from God for him to love you and to save you. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Love you all. Bye.